Today, we are diving into something that affects pretty much everyone: self-worth. It's that voice in your head, the one that kind of dictates how you see yourself, what you think you deserve, and really how you move through the world. So, let's get right into it.
Have you ever had that feeling? You hit a huge goal, you land the job, you get this massive compliment, but instead of feeling great, there's this nagging little voice in the back of your head telling you you're still not quite there. That feeling like you're just faking it and your success was just a fluke?
Well, if any of that sounds familiar, I want you to hear this loud and clear. You are so not alone. And maybe more importantly, struggling with your self-worth is not some personal flaw. It's actually a super predictable result of how our brains are wired and the world we live in.
So here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll break down the self-worth trap that so many of us get stuck in. Then we'll get into the 5 big reasons this is such a common struggle. After that, we'll look at the hidden costs and then pivot to the good stuff, real, practical ways to build solid self-worth. And I'll leave you with one final thought to carry with you.
Okay, so let's start at square one. We've got to define what we're even talking about here. What is self-worth really, and where do we tend to get it all wrong?
So at its core, real self-worth is your own internal sense of value. And here's the key part. It's supposed to be totally separate from anything external. It's not your job title, it's not how much money you make, it's not the number of likes on your last post. It's meant to be that solid ground you're standing on, no matter what. But, for most of us, that's just not how it plays out. We fall into this trap of having unstable self-worth. So instead of it being internal and resilient, kind of like a deep-rooted tree, our sense of self becomes this fragile little boat getting tossed around by all the external waves. It gets completely tied up in our performance, what other people think of us, and whether we succeeded or failed today. So when things are going great, we feel amazing. But when they're not, our whole sense of self can just totally capsize.
So, why is this struggle so darn universal? Well, it turns out there are about 5 really common, really predictable reasons our self-worth can end up feeling so incredibly fragile.
First off, it starts way back. When we're kids, we get praised for good grades, for being well-behaved. And that's all well and good, but it can accidentally teach us a really dangerous lesson, that our value is conditional. We start to internalize this idea that, okay, I'm worthy or I'm a good person, but only when I do something right. All right, now let's layer our modern world right on top of that. We are just swimming in this endless ocean of curated perfection on social media. And this isn't just a small thing. It's a massive psychological force. We're constantly seeing the best moments of everyone else's lives, which makes it feel almost impossible not to compare ourselves and feel like we're coming up short.
And this quote just nails it perfectly. We are constantly comparing our behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel. Think about it. We know all of our own messy moments, our doubts, our struggles, but we're comparing that raw, unedited footage to the perfectly edited final movie of everyone else. It's a game we are literally guaranteed to lose every single time.
And what happens over time is that a simple negative thought can turn into this automatic, ingrained habit. If you tell yourself, I'm not good enough, over and over again, your brain actually starts to believe it. And then it does something wild. It starts to filter reality, actively looking for proof that confirms that belief, while completely ignoring all the evidence to the contrary. It's a classic cognitive trap.
As humans, we're just wired to connect. That fear of rejection, it's deep, it's primal. So to avoid feeling that pain, we might start to, sand down our own edges. We become people pleasers, we don't speak up, we avoid taking any kind of risk that might lead to failure. But every time we do that, we're sending a little message to ourselves that who we really are isn't okay. And that just chips away at our self-worth.
And finally, of course, our past experiences leave their mark. Things like really harsh criticism, being bullied, or a major failure. They can install these deep, often subconscious core beliefs about who we are. Beliefs like I'm not enough or I don't really matter. And these ideas can just run in the background of our lives, quietly pulling the strings without us even knowing it.
So what's the real damage here? Well, the hidden cost is that low self-worth doesn't just stay in your head. It kind of leaks out into the real world and creates this really powerful self-fulfilling prophecy that can totally shape your life.
And here's exactly how that vicious cycle works. It starts with that core belief, right? I'm not good enough. That belief then drives your behavior. So for example, you don't even apply for a job that you're totally qualified for, which of course leads to a poor outcome. You don't get the job you never even tried for. And then what does your brain do?
It takes that evidence and reinforces the original belief. See, I knew I wasn't good enough. It's this powerful loop that can keep us feeling stuck for years.
Okay, so that's the problem. But here is the really good news. You are not stuck there. Now we get to the solutions. We can actually build real, stable self-worth using some really practical strategies. And this is not about fluffy, just think positive stuff. This is about fundamentally changing the relationship you have with yourself.
All right, strategy number 1, and this is a big one. You have to create some space between who you are and what you do. So when you fail at a task, your brain's instant reaction might be, I am a failure. The work here is to catch that thought and reframe it to, I failed at this one thing. That tiny shift in language is huge. It stops an outcome from defining your entire identity.
Next up, you've got to challenge that automatic negative voice. And you don't have to force yourself to be positive, just get curious. When a thought like, I always mess things up, pops into your head, just pause for a second and ask yourself a really simple question. Is that thought 100% absolutely true? Just asking that question creates enough space to realize it's probably an exaggeration, not a cold hard fact. Now, this one might just be the most important strategy of all. See, self-worth isn't built with affirmations. It's built with evidence. Every single time you keep a small promise to yourself, like going for that walk you said you would, or finishing one little task, you are literally giving your brain concrete proof that you are reliable and that you can be trusted. And remember, the action comes first. The feeling of being worthy follows the proof.
And there are other powerful tools in the toolbox too, like actually go unfollow social media accounts that make you feel bad about yourself. Or practice treating yourself with the same kindness you would offer a good friend when they mess up. Set and keep boundaries. Saying no when you really mean no sends a powerful signal to yourself that your needs matter. And finally, learning to accept that being uncomfortable isn't a sign you're failing, it's just the feeling of growth.
So as we start to wrap this up, what's the one thing you really need to remember from all this? What's the real, honest truth about building up your self-worth?
It's this simple. Self-worth isn't a destination. It's not some treasure you find where X marks the spot. It's more like a garden that you have to tend to every day. It's a daily practice made up of all those little consistent choices. The choice to question a negative thought, to keep a tiny promise to yourself, to act in your own best interest.
And the goal here isn't to feel perfect or arrogant or better than anyone else. The real goal is to build this inner foundation that's quiet, stable, and resilient. It's that sense of self that doesn't just wash away with the first wave of criticism or failure. It's the calm, steady confidence of knowing your own value no matter what's going on outside.
So I'm going to leave you with this question. It's not about making some huge, dramatic change tomorrow. It's about one small choice today. The only question left is, in what small way will you choose to show up for yourself today?